Yo, what's going on? This is the youngest in charge, Leon Slater, and you're listening to the Sports Jedi Network. You get me?
You're watching Jedi Sports Network with Kev.
I'm Tom Hannafin from TNA Wrestling. You're watching the Jedi Sports Network.
Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network channel. May the sports be with you.
What's up, Kevin? It's me, Miles Bourne. I just wanted to come on here real quick and say thank you for your support. I really appreciate it, and the fact that you're there every Tuesday really means a lot to me.
Hey guys, this is Elena Black, and you are watching Sports Jedi Network.
This is AJ Francis, and you're with Sports Jedi Network.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome here to the Sports Jedi Media Network. We are live here for our Tuesday night NXT wrap-up. It's just went off the air about 10 minutes ago. And I got my host, my co-host, Dose Evil Dose, and of course, depending on what side of the upside down, I'm going to steal a little bit of his intro. But enough of me. Let's talk to the man himself, Mr. Jeff Lippman. What's going on?
What's going on, everybody? This is our debut show, and we got a very special guest for our debut. Lillian Garcia came out of semi-retirement just for us. I'm very excited about that. So thank you, NXT, for honoring us. We're bringing Lillian Garcia onto the big screen for the big show for our debut. I don't know about you guys in the audience. And by the way, thank everyone for watching, and especially thank you who have found us on the Sports Jedi Media Network while we work very hard to recover the Sports Jedi Network, which has many, 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 many more subscribers than Sports Jedi Media. And the good news is that Kevin has made substantial progress, but we thank every one of you who's found us there, and we thank every one of you that listens on the download, where all podcasts can be found, and on all the other platforms such as Twitch and Kick and Rumbler and Instagram. Like, where aren't we?
The moon.
The moon. Okay, the dark side of the moon. Well, maybe one day I'll talk to Trevor Lee about that one. Elon Musk. I also think that the fans of the show, especially those of you who are with us from day one, maybe we should get a vote in the name. Maybe we should have something more creative than the NXT recap show. I don't know. Just spitballing out here. Anyway, this show opens up with, we got some news over the weekend that Layla Diggs on a house show injured herself, and that appears to be real, not just storyline. So we are left in some suspense as to who is going to be the challenger to Zaria's Women's North American title match. And we do find out about that, but they make us wait a little bit on it. The show opens up with the NXT Tag Team titles on the line. It is the Vanity Project versus a team that has no name, Sean Legacy and Dorian Van Dux. I have suggested 450 DVD. Let's see if that catches on. Kevin, anything to say about up to this moment?
No, I like the fact that they're placing a thread throughout the show where they're reminding us that NXT Sebring in the Coconut Circuit, where Layla Diggs did get injured, I believe her shoulder, and that's going to have some peak interest because remember the MLB All-Star Game is currently happening as they speak, so they need to garner an audience. And of course, if you're watching NXT, you're not into the MLB, and of course the All-Star Game isn't what it used to be many years ago. But that's another conversation for another day. But my point is, they're hooking you. They're dangling that carrot. Who could it be? Is it someone new to the company that we're gonna see debuting against ZARIA, or is there someone from Raw or SmackDown, AAA? We don't know. So I like that immediately when they started the show, they're giving you that dangling the carrot and that suspense to hook you in to want to move on. And then they start off with the tag team match, which, we could get right into it.
Yep. So, first I want to point out, because I'm an original day one Evolve watcher, not always a fan, but I tried to be, and I covered it on a podcast. And thankfully our friends from the PUWF took over, and not only do they do the #1 podcast on Evolve in the universe, but they do the #2 podcast on Evolve in the universe, which is carried on the Wrestling Soup and Friendos feed. And to me, that's always the #1 podcast because it's the one that relieved me of having to do the podcast. And I still watch Evolve. I just don't have to take notes and such. And I appreciate Recon Reactions being in the chat right now. So thank you, dude. I see you there. Hola. Muchos gracias. Anyway, the reason I go into that is because everybody in this match is an Evolve graduate. Even the people that were on the outside, like Michael Lockwood, is a LFG graduate as well, and Dorian Van Dux also spent some time in LFG. So if you're not watching the ancillary products, and I do cover LFG with the legendary Lufisto on Wrestling Soup, so check out Wrestling Soup, not the Wrestling Soup and Friendos network, which you should subscribe to, but Wrestling Soup, regular Wrestling Soup, which I assume you're already subscribed to. But if not, go there and you can listen to me and Lufisto covering LFG as well. So I'm a little bit proud that everybody here was from those two shows. As far as the match is concerned, I actually do want to take a little time for anyone who doesn't know me. Obviously, I'm an older guy. I'm an old school guy. I am an avowed sizist. So I'm not going to like little wrestlers unless they do something spectacular. Now, I have mellowed in time because I have to adapt with the times. Point is, when I first saw Vanity Project, I'm like, who are these little doofuses and why are they on my TV screen? And they started to amuse me and I liked their act. And I got to admit, I had an inappropriate crush on Zeta Steele, who was also slinky. But then I started to realize these guys can really work, and they work smart, and they work. It's almost like if all three members of the Midnight Express had Jim Cornette's douchey country club spoiled rotten kid attitude, but they wrestled. And instead of the sort of the strangeness that was Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey working with Jim Cornette and then later Sweet Stan Lane, etc. But so I have a complicated relationship with him, or had. Now not at all. Now I'm totally V's up all the way. This was a great match. It was a lot of fun. It was fast paced. A lot of action. Dorian Van Dux has been taking the coaching from LFG and has learned to save the big spots for big times and not waste them on everything. I thought the Legacy 450 or DVD 450 or whatever I called it before really showed out well. But as you would expect, at some point the numbers game played into it. Jackson Drake got up on the reverse apron, distracted the referee. Michael Lockwood, who was Bailey Humphreys, pulls down the ropes, and I can't remember which member of the team, but I think it was Van Dux, falls out of the ring, and then she's sort of going, in your face, you can't handle me, and then there was the double team effort, and Vanity Project scored the win over the challengers, which was cool. But the challengers really looked like it had a chance, and I don't normally say run it back, but I'd be very happy if at some point they ran this one back, but in a cage to sort of pretend they're avoiding the outside interference. I think that would be cool. I've talked a lot. Kev, what do you think of this match?
No, first and foremost, I that big compliment, calling them, comparing them to the Midnight Express, the Vanity Projects. I'm not there yet with them. I saw this. I said out of all the matches you're going to start off, you give me these guys. They haven't won me over yet. I appreciate them the way they work, and I understand their psychology. I actually liked their psychology in their wrestling match more, and Van Dux and Legacy. But Van Dux and Legacy were very, very impressive. I know it sounds like an oxymoron contradiction, but let me explain, because there was a lot of moves where when they did the 450 splash, and they did it, and it was just for near fall finishes. They did a lot of high flying acrobatic stuff, where I understand why they told Van Dux to turn it back down, because when you look at the end of the match, the finishing move that the Vanity Projects was simple, double team, ineffective, and got the pin. I'm like, really? That's the finisher? It made that finisher feel what I just said, because we saw all these incredible moves and athleticism by the men prior to it. I'm like, ooh, that should have ended the match. That should have ended the match there. And then when we get some kick out, and then that's the end of the kick. That was the end. That was the last end result. That's their finisher. They executed it. all in all, I could understand where Van Dukes looks like he's going to be a major star.
Yeah.
I for that size, the way he looks and the way he moves and the way he just moves around. Yeah, this is where the performance center is there for, to craft and take out and make the matches more. They're going to simplify it for Van Dukes, but it's not going to be a bad thing. That's going to simplify it makes his match career-wise longer and tell a story in his match in the ring. So I'm not going to say it was a good start because the crowd was hot. The Orlando crowd wanted to see these folks. They were excited. They were great. And Mia Lockwood, when she says, "You don't mess with my boys," I kind of like that too. Her, like you said, outside manager, valet, distraction, the numbers game. So
China.
That's their stick. Yeah, that's their China. That's their stick, and I'm liking it. You could see Shawn Michaels is living and pumping that storyline into the Vanity project, just like DX and bringing that stuff there. They're waiting until the hijinks come later down when they're more comfortable in the ring or in the microphone, and they let them trust them. The hijinks were going to come. I see Shawn Michaels a lot of influence in that, and you know what? I'm going to give it time to win me over. Right now, I just roll my eyes because you know what it looked like? It looked like a bunch of boys wrestling some men in that ring, and it's not fair. They're young. That's the fountain of youth that they have.
Yeah,
but
they are young.
Not a bad match.
I mean, Jackson Drake, I think, is 23. Brad Baylor, as of last year, was still in college. Whether he graduated or he's taking time off because he's a full-time wrestler or going to night school or whatever, I don't know. I imagine Ricky Smokes is a similar age. And Michael Lockwood, she's a little bit older, but listen, she's a physical specimen. She's not probably never really going to be a wrestler, but she can be an attraction, and she certainly fills that bodyguard role. There was one move. I'm not really someone who breaks down matches, but there was one move I have to say, and this is basically you had the Vanity Project on the outside, sort of grouped together. Sean Legacy went to, like, he was going to do a dive outside, but instead he goes he's positioned on the second rope, but on the outside of the apron, and Dorian Van Dukes pulled it down almost like it was a bow and arrow. It was like a catapult slingshot, flip to the outside, like it wasn't your normal dive. And wow, that was a cool looking move. I really did enjoy that.
That was a callback to Joaquin Wilde, part of Legado Fantasma. He also used to springboard him in NXT up and over like that as well.
Yeah, but they would really catapult him straight over. Like he would go like 30 feet. This guy went like 30 feet up, and but only 6 feet, horizontally.
Yes.
But
yes,
it was a different arc. But yeah, very impressive. I thought this match was a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind seeing Legacy and Van Dukes continue to be a team, but I sort of dream of Rusev and Van Dukes being like the EU or NATO or something. They're two European tanks. They're both about 5'10", 5'11". One's probably 250. The other one's probably 270. One's more of a grounder and a pounder. The other one can ground and pound, but the high game. It's like a European power and glory, but they're I don't know. It'll probably never happen. And this is like my old Greg the Hammer Valentine and Jim the Anvil Neidhart as a team, just because it's the Hammer and the Anvil, just because the name makes sense. But I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, we next see Miles Bourne, who is the men's North American champion, with Tavion Heights. They've been friends. They've been enemies, but never really enemies. They came from the No Quarter Catch crew together, led by Charles Dempsey, who's rarely around, Regal's kid, and he seems to be on talk about part-timers. Anyway, they can't seem to escape each other. I have to be honest with you, neither one of them has an ounce of charisma. I don't know what Miles Bourne is doing with that title. I forget that he has it every time until I see it. I know that he's with Stephanie Vaquer. I know that he's hearing impaired, and they think there's a story in that, and there is. But it's sort of like it's interesting once, and then when you realize you can actually hear the things, it's not that big. People like to pretend he's Randy Orton, but he's not that big. I know he did an introduction at the beginning of the show here, And honestly, he looked like one of my son's friends in that. From a distance with my bad vision, he could be my son in the way he was dressed with a hoodie and the hat on there. So I don't even know what they were talking about, except I think Tavian Heights was trying to talk about them going after the tag team titles themselves and how it'd be easy, and Miles Bourne being like, I'm not so sure that's a great idea. What this was really set up for, aside from the continuation of these two being stuck at the hip for whatever reasons, was the beginning of Saquon Sugars trying to recruit anyone and everyone who seemed to be a tag team to be his partners in his quest to face Dark State, on even footing. And of course, these guys are like, nah, we don't like you. You suck. Get lost. And he's like, no, I'm cool. I'm like, no, you're not cool. Go away. It really is amazing to me that all these people who like months ago were in a heel faction, like, are so against this guy because he just came out of a heel faction. But, wrestling has long memory, but it also has no memory whatsoever simultaneously.
Right. And also don't forget Cam Hendricks made his appearance there. He's at 83.2% of ready to get back. And he wants he wants a shot at Tony D'Angelo's title, but he might think about Miles Bourne. So he planted that seed as well. Yeah,
he said, I'm going to go talk to Stone. I'm at like 89.3%. And
I said Pierce, right? Stone.
He said, I'm going to remind him that, I picked Tony first, but in that match, I pinned you, the North American champion. So, okay, I'm all for that. Actually, I think the Tavian Heights maybe would benefit from having a partner switch anyway, or a friend switch. He could use some of Cam Hendricks's attitude to make him more interesting. We see Quan now, and by Quan I mean Saquon, not Akira Quan, in a different company entirely, who's 4-0 in CMLL. So congratulations to him and Contra Unit for racking up wins on their missions down there. But Quan's fine on medical, and we see that Legacy and Van Dukes are in there, but we don't see anything more than that. Because Quan is talking.
Did you see them arguing or having a little bit of a heated conversation in medical?
I did see that, and I don't exactly know why, unless they're calling back to past stories where Sean Legacy is like pretending to be rah-rah face, but he sort of has excuses and is sort of like a closet heel, and maybe there's more of that going on. Van Dukes does some similar stuff to Tate Wilder, but so does Legacy. So to call Van Dukes reckless and comparing him to Tate Wilder would be completely disingenuous. But then again, heels are not always exactly self-aware. So secret heel or turning heel Sean Legacy, Jedi turning into Sith, maybe what's going on there. But maybe Van Dukes is the one turning heel. I mean, he looks more like a heel anyway.
He does with that. Yeah, he does. But the seeds are being planted now. I don't know when when will it give full fruition or come to pass, but at least we saw that in the background where Saquon is looking in and being a little bit of a peeper.
Right. And I guess he was thinking about recruiting them and then saw dissension, but also maybe before he got a chance to walk in, he sees OTM and says, hey, here's the partners I've been looking for. And they're like, are you kidding? What's wrong with you, fool? We have no interest in you. And he's like, oh, come on. And before he finishes, they turn around and they walk basically right into Birthright without Charles again. But the rest of them are there. Charles?
It was in the background. It was the background.
I didn't see him. I saw Uriah. I saw Chaz, or Stax rather, Ariana, and your friend Brian Pillman. I mean Lexus King, who did a promo there.
Right. Maybe he's
I hope
in
I'm
Japan.
right, because if I'm wrong, that's going to be sort of really embarrassing. But it will verify that my eyesight gets worse as things go further away. In any event, they're like, "Hey, Birthright, you got in our way of winning. You weren't there trying to win. You were just trying to make sure that we didn't win." And Birthright's like, "Hey, we were just trying to take care of business. We're all family here, even though they're not. You guys aren't family. And hey, Lucian, you've never really had a real family. And Bronco here, he's doing his thing in AAA. Did he tell you about that? He's worried about his family. He ain't worried about you. So continuing to show that OTM are together, or maybe there's some weakness there. And Lucien definitely side-eyed Bronco. Bronco figured he was done talking to Birthright, walked off, and Lucien, lingered for a moment and side-eyed Bronco. So it's a shame because I really like OTM. I think they're actually a team that could do something if WWE cared about tag teams. They're two big guys, but WWE doesn't care about tag teams, so I'm breaking it up. But at least the story that they're sticking with, and I guess people who break up can make up too. So, we'll see. I didn't love this segment. I don't love Birthright. I find Birthright to be about the least imposing and least impressive faction maybe that I've ever seen.
Two things there that I went on throughout that backstage. Like you said, it just continues to feed into the WWE stereotype that everyone has the right to start talking about. It's the tag team division. You see that you got a tag team that look very impressive in the opening bout in Van Dukes and Legacy. They're planting the seed of a little bit of dissension or splitting apart. You also got, now you saw OTM, which I don't know what's the issue, why they don't get pushed in NXT. I'm glad that Bronco's getting that AAA exposure with Perro de Mal, but here they are trying to break another tag team and I'm like, my goodness. I mean, what is in 5 years? The tag team should be obsolete in this company. The way they're going, breaking everyone. There's a team they want to break up. I found a little sad there when I saw that. It was an entertaining part with planting the seeds and deception storylines, so forth. That's what wrestling does. It's supposed to keep you hooked in. What's next? What direction the story is going to go, what road they're going to take, and us as a consumer, as a viewer, we were sitting down and ready to see what avenues and what stories are coming up, and I loved it. And especially we got Tristan Angels, who's going to be in the ring. That's what got me going before the commercial break.
Yeah, WWE, if you're listening, we like tag team wrestling. We always have. So, and half your matches are tag team and multi-person matches anyway. So why give up on the tag teams? I know Vince used to say, why should I pay for two people when I can pay for one? But not every tag team has a breakout single star. And I repeat, we like tag team wrestling. People still talk about the Road Warriors and the Road Warriors pop. They're not saying the Stone Cold Steve Austin pop. I mean, there is one you could, or the Rock's pop. They say the Road Warriors pop. So anyway, if you're listening, yes, we see Tristan Angels.
You know my reasoning. I have a theory on it. I don't know if I ever told you it.
Let's hear it.
To me, I think is when in this modern day wrestling, or the way they see it, at least the WWE eyes, it's always the same psychology of the matches. No matter which four men or women you put in the tag team match, there's always the worker that's going to work, get his ass kicked throughout the whole match. The heels are going to cheat behind the referee's back. They want the crowd to wait for the hot tag. And once they get the hot tag, the crowd goes crazy. They blow the comeback. Then you get the wrestler that got his ass, the workhorse who got his ass kicked through the whole entire match. He just sits on the apron for 15 seconds. He comes back in like he had a sensu bean, and he's fired up. And they're gonna team it up, bring it home, and that's every tag team match, men and women, no matter which company, which pair or individuals you put in there. It's the same psychology, and I think they think it's a waste of time. I think they think it's past its time, because no matter what. But sometimes classics, regardless at the end, it's still nostalgic. It always hits, especially if you're done right in the tag team division. But I think that's what they see. That's just my opinion.
Who knows what they're thinking? Who knows if I'm right or if you're right or if it's a combination of a bunch of things? But it's a variety show, and tag team wrestling it adds to the variety, and having teams is a variety, and having every team break up simultaneously is not variety. It's take your time, folks. Anyway, yeah, Tristan Angels comes to the ring, basically cuts his typical promo of sorts, but mostly focusing on the fact that somehow he acquired Shiloh's tooth, and that he's going to make sure that Shiloh can never look like a normal person again, and he stomps on the tooth and crushes it. Shiloh comes on the Jumbotron and basically says, I don't care. I don't want to be normal. I'm tired of hiding who I am. I'm perfectly good with what I am. And the fog is coming. The fog is coming. Ah! this laugh on Shiloh, if he's a heel, it's fine. As a face, it's a little bit too much. I'm starting to worry that they're leaning too much into the maniacal Shiloh as a face, and they're not having him wrestle enough and just wrestle as a badass. And in the maniacal side later, or dial it back a little bit. Just my opinion. I did like how he smiles with the big gap in his tooth. But if he's not the Fiend, you know, if he's this tech wizard, at least they should show how he's setting these things up with, you know, pyrotechnics and you know, doing it by his computer, and he has things pre-programmed and whatever to psych people out. Like, go into the hacker dark web thing that he's the Stanford technical genius thing, that's how he set this thing up, and it still freaks people out even if they don't know it, or you know, they don't watch the TV show because they're too busy. I don't know. I did not love this segment. I'm sort of wish that this feud was over because Shiloh already won. I don't like how they're going back on it. The heel can't win, and it's almost like they trust Tristan Angels to like be the worker who will keep Shiloh safe and make him look good. But they have other people for stuff like that as well. And Tristan Angel should be doing something where he can advance and succeed. And I know in NXT they can do a fatal 4-way or a one-night battle royal, and you know, and he can sneak his way into a title contention at any time, you know. But still, you know, do something different. I don't love this.
I when it comes to Tristan Angels, I hope he's the next North American champion. I'm gonna say it now, personally, because I like it. There's something about his in ring, the gimmick. It's a little flamboyant, but it is what it is. But the fog is coming. I thought of Eric Young with the cleanse is coming. When I heard the fog is coming, the cleanse is coming, I said, oh, I think Eric Young is going to be part with a veteran next to Shiloh Hill, or against something like that. And then I thought about London Fog. I was like, oh my goodness, because you know English. But
the old Coke company.
Yeah, the old Coke company, London Fog.
Maybe it still exists. I don't know.
Members only still around, I think.
I don't know. I moved on to Burberry, so you know.
Oh, okay. So you're not.
Yeah.
So you're not.
MJF taught me the way. He taught me what class was. Yeah. So next we go into Robert Stone's office where there's chaos. He's got all the women in there who are all trying to lobby to get themselves into the North American Championship picture. The only things that you really know is that Layla Diggs was there and she started speaking, and Natty and crew basically hushed her, said, "You got hurt, you don't get to speak." Natty's like, "Our girl, the Evolve champion, she should be in that." You know, she's like, "As the both," and then she points to someone else, which is fine. And the other two people arguing were Izzy Dame, pointing out that she's the only one in there that's held the North American Championship before, and Lizzie Rain. And Stone decides to make it a fatal 4-way with Izzy, Lizzie, and Nikita, the Evolve's women's champion, my most improved wrestler of the year. They will challenge ZARIA later this evening for the Women's North American Championship.
Let me ask this question: Are you feeling Robert Stone as his general manager?
I think he's doing an adequate job. I don't find him particularly interesting. I would like someone with more personality. Like in the beginning when he seemed to be embracing the chaos, like the chaos was making his character. Now he's fighting the chaos like he's a regular GM. And no, I don't think he's interesting at all. I think that,
over the top.
Yeah. I think that Ariana Grace would be more interesting in that position. I think that Stevie Turner from Evolve, who they released, would be more interesting.
That would have been a better one.
Yeah. Maybe if they brought Eric Young, he could be interesting in that role. I don't know, but your question was, am I feeling Robert Stone? The answer is no, not really. That doesn't mean he doesn't serve a valuable function in agenting and booking and producing and all the other things he does. But I think his on-air stint is over. Or if anything, make him a heel manager for some of these people who desperately need a mouthpiece, and make him go back to being a talky jerk like he used to do, like the Jersey Shore thing, you know, back in TNA 20 years ago.
I used to say this before he became a general manager, or he was just with Von Wagner. It's like he needed to be Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey's manager. They should have brought him up and let him be their manager. I've been saying this since I've had this podcast. They should have brought him up. He should have been their mouthpiece. He should have been the guy getting the heat, because he could also take punches from the women if he needed to. No, they didn't. They had him running around with Von Wagner, who got released that did nothing. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I didn't like this. I didn't like the whole segment. I didn't like the way they got all four women. I understand Layla dig with the injury, and they're mistreating her with the whole situation there for Natty. I personally would have liked to at least see Tatum Paxley involved somewhere in this whole smorgasbord of stuff. But we got the four women competitors. I was like, okay, all right, let's see. Let's see Zaria go out there and defend her North American title, her women's North American title.
Well, my theory, I think we're going to see Tatum this weekend on Saturday night's main event to rejoin Baylor, and and maybe ultimately that'll lead to something else. But anyway, so our next match is with Tate Wilder, who is also an Evolve graduate, and just so that people know, some of his story on Evolve, which is carried over a little bit into NXT, is that he spends more time on the shelf and in the med room than he does in the ring and active. His story mostly in NXT is that he's reckless and a risk taker needlessly, and that Sean Legacy was the one that was sort of coaching him, but sort of got sick of it, where I got this heel thing from, the secret heel thing from. Anyway, Tate Wilder, if you didn't know any of that, you're to be forgiven, because he hasn't been around for a couple weeks, and when he was, it was just in sort of like reintroduction vignettes. He's sort of like a clean-cut Jeff Hardy, sorts. He's sort of like a Daredevil. Actually, I mean, sort of almost like Jeff Hardy meets Justin Gabriel. Shout out to Justin Gabriel, my real-life friend, PJ Black. That's not his real name either, but that's the other name that you might know him by. And anyway, Tate Wilder is facing Naraku, who was evil in New Japan, who came in and got a title match through devious means, lost clean, saying that for a reason. Anyway, the story of this match is that a wily veteran was usually in every trick in the book, pretending to be honorable, whatever, while Tate was still being somewhat reckless and over-aggressive, and that cost him. His losing streak continues. Maybe because he takes too many risks, but it could have just easily been that he was outfoxed by a wily veteran. I have to be honest with you, the more I see Naraku, I liked Evil and Sonata. Everything's different in the New Japan and Ring of Honor universe, because everybody's just a little bit smaller, or a lot smaller. Jeff Cobb looked like a monster there. He looked like a block of a man, but a smallish man in WWE. Like Naraku, the jeans didn't help. I don't dig Naraku at all. He's tedious. Even if they brought him an army, I don't think that would make him any more interesting. Anyway, he gets a win. Fine. His finisher is basically is a front Russian sweep. I don't even know what he calls it, and I don't really care.
It takes you to the abyss. It's to the abyss.
Scary.
Yes. When the match started, as soon as the match started, I was like, I wonder what I have for a snack, and then this came in my head.
Oh, well, you could have taken the snap to go and reconcile both.
Wrap it up. I'm not feeling neither one of the two wrestlers. I'm sorry. This was the worst match of the night. This was the boring. I did dislike it. This guy, he was impressive with the sling blade into the backbreaker. That's the only thing I can remember that I was like, wow, of the whole match. I disliked it. I mean, what a waste. What a waste of two talents on the roster. I'm sorry to be harsh. This is the person who sat in 2.0, the whole 2.0. And I saw wrestlers way better that got released in 2.0 than this garbage that I saw with these two. I'm sorry to be rough, but I'm gonna be blatant and honest. I can't take these two. If I would ever see another match of these two, I'll be thankful. They were terrible. I was not entertained. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm tapped out on Naraku. Obviously, I haven't given up on Tate Wilder yet, but I mean, they have Dorian Van Dux and Sean Legacy, who are earlier, and Jackson Drake, who are all. I mean, though Jackson Drake really isn't a high flyer, he can be, but he doesn't need to be, which is actually pretty cool. So I don't know. I know they think he's a good-looking kid, and so he might be a heartthrob. So they're going to invest a little bit more. Naraku, he's old. He's not getting younger. His knees are bad, and he's not physically impressive. Frankly, sometimes when I see his silhouette, I think it's Zaria, which yes, she's an imposing-looking woman, but she's not an imposing-looking man, silhouette-wise. Anyway, probably less said the better. Anyway, Tony D comes in at the end of the match and attacks Naraku because even though Tony D won clean, he can't let it go because Naraku, he should just ignore it. Security came in and Naraku introduced mist into it. He blew red mist, also stealing from Akira Kwan, who clearly invented mist. Nobody has ever done that before. And it hits Braxton Cole, who those of you who watch LFG and Evolve know who Braxton Cole is, but he's security guard number 1 in NXT, the blonde kid who looks a little bit like Jack Swagger, and Cody Rhodes had a kid. Anyway, security's got to break them up. Get out of here, says Robert Stone. And Tony D is, but he's not ready to let it go. Frankly, if you beat someone clean, back of the line, buddy. That's what he's like.
Yeah,
back of the line.
That's it. I don't have to deal with you no more. I beat you already. You're done. I beat you fair and square, clean. I didn't hook your tights. I didn't use the ropes. You got pinned. Why is Tony D opening up can of worms and chasing waterfalls? It's like,
yeah, I agree. I mean, and we were talking earlier. Why are they running it back with someone else who lost something clean, and the guy who won or the gal who won wants to face them again? Why? It's frankly that's Tony Khan booking, and frankly Vince McMahon booking, and sometimes it's Triple H booking. It hasn't been Shawn Michaels booking until recently, so I don't. Maybe he needs to take a vacation or something. I'm not sure. Maybe he's overworked. Anyway, backstage, Hank and Tank are with EK Prosper. They're friends. They're honking and honking. Hank and Tank, the biggest guys who don't present as big guys I've ever seen. Saquon, he's continuing to recruit, and they're like, "Now you suck. Until you prove yourself, we're not interested in helping you out. We are out." Plus, we've got business with Keanu and Hank. That reminds us that they, Keanu beat them up at the tailgate party at Great American Bash, and Hank's going to face Keanu Carter, I guess next week. Though I don't remember seeing it advertised. So Saquon's fruitless quest continues his odyssey, pun intended. His hero's journey, redemption not yet achieved. Any thoughts on any of this?
I like the fact that they keep mentioning Keanu Carter, where there is a storyline thread where they talked about the barbecue for Great American Bash getting beat up. So now it's the other partners, Hank's turn that wants a piece of him. EK Prosper is like the guy, I beat him already. He's like, but you don't hear him rushing to want to fight Keanu Carter. Have you noticed that? He's like, well, you guys, I beat him already. Like, I beat him twice. I don't need to be like so. And for Saquon, there's a thread. It is also, like we mentioned in the beginning of the show, who was going to be that woman that was going to be replacing Layla Diggs. We find out the fatal forward. Now we want to find. Now they're hooking you for the remainder of the show, not only with the main event scene of number 1 contendership, but who is going to actually be partners with Saquon Sugars. If anyone, we were thinking, because now you're starting to think, oh damn, he's going through a lot of people in the roster. Could we have some TNA involvement? I mean, we haven't seen TNA been on NXT for months. Where is that? So you're thinking maybe something along those lines. At least for me, when I thought, I'm like, all right, so I wonder who Saquon's going to be his partners. Is he going to really go?
The last TNA person we've seen on NXT TV was Santino.
Yes, I believe so. If I'm not mistaken, it was Santino, but that was on a WWE PLE in Italy.
Oh, that's right. I was a little worried that it was going to be Dr. Wagner Jr. and or Lee Hodel and Galena, his brother. So I just relieved that I didn't need to see them again. But yeah, so then we have the North American women's match, ZARIA against the three contenders. My most improved wrestler of the year, Nikita Lyons, the Evolve Women's Champion, gets no entrance for it at all, so you know she's not winning. Okay, three things. I really enjoyed this match, but you're not going to hear a lot about me talking about it, but I really enjoyed this match. I thought it worked really well. One, Lizzie Rain's entrance gives me a headache, and I know I'm an old man, and but I think it's something that I'm going to like less and less. And while I like her as a wrestler, and I think her finisher, the Thunderstruck, is awesome, especially when she hits it right. And I don't know, she gets on my nerves. I know she's probably not for me. I just don't know if the rest of the world is going to turn on her or not. But I don't know. Am I just an old man that doesn't like loud noises, or is it a bit annoying and a bit over the top?
No, I can see the lane that you're coming from. Doesn't push. She remind me of something out of Rocky Horror Shop. Was it? Am I saying it correctly?
Rocky Horror Picture. You can tell me
if
my lane is I'm in the fast lane going 50 with my left turn signal on the entire time and I'm not turning for miles. Feel free to tell me.
No. I could see where you're coming from, because I first thought of that as her. So like, what's the big? Because when she came in, I'm like, okay, what's the big hoopla that the fans are going gaga over her? I don't really see it. She doesn't strike you like, oh my goodness. She just looks goofy. She looks like if Beavis and Butthead had a distant cousin from across the pond. That what she looked like. So I'm like, okay, yeah, see. And then she's got she is a character though. I like what makes me like her more is that she's a character in the ring, and she's a character. She has a personality and a character. She's not boring and vanilla, which I give her a lot of credit. Don't get too crazy with the ring entrance and the music on it, because typical NXT, by the time she gets tuned up or ready to go to the main roster, if she makes it, they'll change the whole music. So that's why I'm not going to go crazy with
Triple H loves Motorhead. This is I don't know this. I know this is Motorhead's not a glam rock band, and she's more in the Motley Crue vein than the Motorhead vein. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna go with it's a little bit of old man, and my lane is I'm driving 40 in the 85 lane with my turn signal on.
We'll flash the lights for you to move over, Pops.
Right, and I'm not going to pay any attention to that. Reina Volcan's name was invoked during this match, and I was wondering if she was going to make her presence known during it. Spoiler, she didn't. At some point, Natty and Carmen come out titularly to help Nikita Lyons. So when Natty walks out, she walks out sort of like, you ever see Tom and Jerry, and when one of them is about to fight and they get serious and they stand up straight but like angled forward and their little fist Natty was walking like a cartoon. Like sometimes I dig this Natty character, and other times I just find her to be dull. And I find her to be dull in this. I don't know if she doesn't really like these women. I don't know if she doesn't really like what she's like. Her in AAA, and when she goes to NWA and Bloodsport and other things, it's like an entirely different vibe. Like when she's in Evolve, it's an entirely different vibe. But when it's in NXT, it's like, I don't know. It's like it feels like she's trying too hard, and she doesn't work. Like she should just be naturally the GOAT. Like I don't know, like dial it back, like channel a little Charlotte Flair. I'm the best, a little Natty. Like I know I'm not the best, but I want to say I guess I hold all these stupid Guinness World Records for a TV show that doesn't matter. Anyway, Natty gets attacked by Jada Parker, so she's taken out immediately. And Carmen Petrovic is neutralized pretty quickly, though it does allow Nikita Lyons to get the advantage. I'd say all of these women worked really well. I thought it was choreographed really well. I don't remember a single botch. There were lots of impactful moves, plenty of near falls, plenty of broken up counts, plenty of creativity. There was technical wrestling. There was high flying wrestling. There was action outside.
Power. It
was nonstop. Definitely my match of the night. Definitely better than the triple threat at the end of the night. Izzy and Lizzie, at some point, they brawl to the back. So then it's just Nikita and Zarya, and then you knew the fix was in because of the jobber entrance, and Zarya wins. She defeats Nikita Lyons, which is fine. Zarya is great in this role. She's very impressive. She's got a great look. So good. Let her hold the title. I just wish that she beat Lizzie, who's the new girl, and not my Evolve champion, who's the most improved wrestler of the year. But I guess she's got the title in the lower brand, so whatever. It's not that important.
Here's where I'm gonna come a little bit unhinged a little bit, because we saw that with the tag team qualifier. Whenever there's a multi-man or fatal four-way tag team, about a week or 2 weeks before, or was it last week? When was taped last week? And then you had it again. You got it. People come out of the back, and this is an NXT trope that they've been doing this for since. I mean, my goodness, for years. Every time there's a multi, they come out, interference. Then they'll take away their attention. They start brawling, and then the other two participants in the fatal four-way, they decide they're going to fight each other, and they'll go to the back, disappear. The only thing I hate about that, don't you ladies want to become champion? So you're too busy going to the back. I would have loved them to at least stay fighting around. No, they just disappeared towards the back like bushwhackers, fighting all the way towards the back. That I hate that. Because it just and it just, yes, it showcased the Zarya, which I loved it because she powers. I loved it. That F5, 1, 2, 3, and Nikita go touch some grass. I love it. That's the way it should be done. I always said this. Zarya looks 100% like the champion that she needed to be since her inception in NXT. She's got that woman North American title, and I don't know who the hell is going to beat her. She's continued to book her, and I'm glad that she had an opportunity in January to go to TNA to fight at that time leading Ying as the champion, and they booked her better than what they had ever booked her in NXT. I'm glad that there's some film, and now they're starting to book her exactly how she wrestled in NXT in TNA, and that's what we need to see from Zarya. This for the next until next Stand and Deliver, she should be dominating the women's division in NXT. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. Her presentation, her look, and her in-ring. She is the top-notch, the number one woman in NXT, in my opinion. You can have your Kendal Greys. Yay, go eat some cake. It's Zarya. She is the number one. She's the best wrestler on that roster right now, and they need to continue booking her strong. And I love what they did with beating those. You know what? Give me three ladies. I'll destroy them. And she did that, and I love it. Great job.
Well,
the best match of the night.
Well, you reminded me of one of my pet peeves, and you reminded me of me from yesterday on the MLW files when I complained, and there was a little disagreement between myself and Thomas on this one, Mr. Thomas, my best friend, where I disagreed that you turn Okamura from face to heel, you have him join Contra, and then in his second match back, he loses. To a new guy when there's other people you could have him lose to, and the new guy can be squashing local enhancement talent. And what's my point here? Well, Izzy Dane just fired Sean Spears. Basically, they broke up the culling, and she's going solo without his guidance, only to lose. In she gets herself an opportunity, great, but she loses. So what was the point of that? I think that turns and things like that should have meaning, at least for a short period of time, and should lead to some success before there's failures. And that's not happening. I also, I understand that no DQs with outside interference shouldn't always lead to success, but it seems like lately it's almost never leading to success unless you're Vanity Project, and they all come out together. And it's not really no DQs. It's just, distracting the ref. Fine. That's so anyway, those are two of my pet peeves.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned about that, where with the calling and Izzy, maybe that's the reason why they fought and they left out of sight, out of mind, because you don't see her taking the pin, and you only see Nikita taking the pin by herself with Zarya. So because right now Lizzie Rain, they're pushing her, and they look like they're gonna put a rocket pack on her by the end of the year. I mean, she'd probably be one of those that win the Iron Survivor, for a deadline. And you got Izzy Dane, who just broke out, and that's why they probably wrestled and got out of TV. Maybe so. By you saying that opened my eyes and say, you know what I just finished going on a little bit of a rant. Maybe that's the reason why. That's the explanation why they pulled them and they fought towards the back, out of sight, out of mind.
Maybe. I mean, I could see that. However, the whole thing with the culling is that Sean Spears thought he was so smart, and she thinks he's smarter than Sean Spears. And maybe he'll use this to point out, you got rid of me because you thought you were so smart, but you're brawling out to the back in a title opportunity match. That's not so smart. You still need me. But so I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, speaking of the Ren QCC and Kendal, we see Saquon recruiting some more. Now he's trying to recruit female tag teams, and they're like, well, we can't really help you, but
he wants a date.
Yeah, maybe. They're like, hey, but you can join the Ren QCC. I mean, we can't tag with you, but you can join. And he's like, well, actually, that doesn't sound so. And he gets interrupted by Lola Vice, who is confronting Kendal Grey, saying, Mama, I want my title back. And Kendall's like, good luck tonight. Come and get it. So there's that. Tony D confronting Robert Stone because he wants a rematch with Naraku. Why? We already covered this. I don't know. Tony's not waiting till next week, even though Stone gives him the match. And Stone is like, what are you doing? What are you going to do, Tony? Again, when he first got the job, embrace the chaos, love the chaos. Everyone's like, we love what you're doing with it, with the chaos. Regal's like, I love the chaos. And now he's Adam Pearce trying to fight the chaos. Next will be Nick Aldis threatening suspensions. I don't know. I feel like we ranted about this earlier, but feel free to rant again if you like.
No, huh? I would have liked Robert Stone to tell Tony D'Angelo, go eat a deep dish and have a good night.
Jackson Drake comes out with Vanity Project facing Tavion Heights, who comes out alone. Good match, technical match, a lot of suplexes and flips and things like that. Though it never really felt intense. I felt no real emotion. There's really very little story between these guys. At some point, there was some minor distraction from Brad Baylor, and Tavion Heights, clocked him. So it's not even like there was an offensive lick in. He just clocked him in the face and knocked him out. And Tavion Heights walks into what looked like a sunset flip, which was enough to get the 3 count. I'm sure the move was supposed to be something else, but it wasn't. It was a sunset flip. And Tavion Heights, a 260-pound man with those gigantic legs, who's an Olympian. I think he was injured and couldn't, or he was an alternate or whatever, but he was an Olympian on the U.S. Olympic team. Couldn't get out of a sunset flip. And this match just left me like, what are they doing to Tavion? Jackson Drake can take a loss. I mean, I know that they won't have high hopes for him, but unless they're going to put the title on him, why do this? And Tavion Heights, all he's doing is losing and hanging out with Miles Bourne. And frankly, he's been doing that for 2 years now. I thought at some point they passed on Santana because they thought they had the same guy in Tavion Heights, different ethnicity, but similar look, but bigger and with a better amateur background. But I don't know. I was bored, and I thought the ending was stupid.
The ending was a little. I mean, to beat a Tavion Heights, I could understand it. This is my disconnect when it comes to the Vanity Project, the whole group, because of their physique. They're not there yet. But to beat a Tavion Heights, I kind of would have liked them to use the foot on the rope technique where the referee can't see it. I would have liked that if it was going to be Tavion Heights. I think if this better lead to Tavion Heights turning full-blown nuclear heel, where he's just tired of losing and he's gonna go scorch the earth of heel, of the loss, of backseat, seeing his friends winning the title, all that stuff. I don't know, because I don't know if Tavion Heights. I don't know if Tavion Heights has that character in him. He to me, he's just another Gabe Stevenson.
Well, Gabe Stevenson, we never saw anything with. I think you mean his brother Damon Kemp.
Damon Kemp. Damon Kemp, his brother. That's who. And Damon Kemp was actually good on the microphone. This is the thing that gets me. Much better. He was entertaining. He was funny. It was good. Tavion, I like Tavion, like shit. But I just well.
I mean, he looked like Barney Rubble.
He did. Well, you got Mason Rook now. I mean, hello.
Every time I forget about Mason Rook, I'm happier.
I'm glad he wasn't on tonight.
Me too. Yeah, I agree with you. I think what was supposed to happen is I think that Jackson Drake was supposed to grab the rope for leverage And I think so. they were positioned wrong, so he just put his hand on his chest, like I guess, like acting like he's pushing him down. But still, that shouldn't have got him down. And I understand these are kids, and when they're booked away and the time is up, it's up. But that ending, no bueno. At least if Jackson Drake did that, but maybe Tavian Heights is going to blow his casket. The thing is, they're having the same story with Tate Wilder. Well, maybe they blow their casket together and become the Expendables, but I don't think either one of them has the personality. So who's going to be their Sherry Martel or their, or their, Santos Escobar, or someone who can be a heel manager? I want to put Malcolm Bivens / Stokely Hathaway with everyone, or Adam Cole in an alternate reality as a manager with everybody, or Jimmy Jacobs, something like that. But I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. Neither one of us was impressed by this, so probably the less said, the better.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe this is where an Eric Young could come in. That coach, Sean Spears, because we saw that vignette with Sean Spears when he was in Full Sail, talking about he's taking on Nico Events next weekend. You think he's proud of what he kind of said. He's proud of what they did. He kind of like, I know what you guys did, but you guys didn't learn all my lesson. So maybe he comes with a group to go after them or something. I don't know. I mean, who knows?
Who knows? I like the first one better. I like the Eric Young thing better, just because he's got that intense craziness that I think, and he could still be a factor on the outside and take bumps when necessary. So I do like that.
Exactly.
Excuse me. Back to so we actually get Reina Volcan in a vignette introducing herself, and the theme is I'm a force of nature. She says nature doesn't ask for permission. The greatest disasters don't announce themselves. The force of nature is debuting next week, and that she's going to take no prisoners. And I liked it. I thought it was good. I think she looked impressive.
A little bit long, but it was good.
A little bit long. Excuse me. Yeah. We see Romeo and Noam Dar talking in the back. I don't think these two, but Saquon comes up to them doing some recruiting, and Noam Dar is like, No, I don't know. You're still looking. I'm not really interested in you. And Romeo's like, hey, this is an opportunity. If we can beat the 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions, this is something for us. And then Saquon's like, when did the Supernova 4 or 11 get afraid of a challenge? And again, I'm thinking, Noam Dar, you were the leader of a heel faction for like a year and a half, and now you're a face, and you don't remember it. And there's no place for. Anyway, that aside, they agree to do it. So Saquon gets Romeo Moreno and Noam Dar. I guess it's better than nothing. But
I guess.
Yeah, me too. I don't think those guys, and they need to dress with some color, meaning Noam and Romeo Moreno. They're so bland. They need to stop wearing like taupes, tans, and gray. Like, put some color on, something to make you stand out. Noam Dar should be a manager. He shouldn't be a worker. He can work with Nita. He'd be another one. He'd be a great manager. He made the metaphor interesting. Not that it's necessarily done good things for all of them, but but it was a fun act in NXT, and that's where they are now. Anyway, we see the Ren QCC again, but it's just to buy some time for Callie Armstrong to come and remind Kendal Grey that that they had their feuds and evolve, and Callie's ready to run it back. And Kendall's like, sure, if you make it past tonight. And as Callie is walking to the ring, she sees Jada Parker sort of lingering in the background. I guess her brawl with Natty's over, and she's like, what? She's like, what? And she's like, what are you looking at? You got a problem with me? And Jada's like, you're going to have a problem with me if you don't watch your attitude and watch yourself. And Callie's like, I don't have time for this, and walks off. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. And then Natty and I think it was Kendall. I'm not sure if Nikita was there. They jumped Jada. It was Carmen Petrovich. Okay, and they like hit her and kick her twice, and Natty goes, "That's enough." What the hell was that?
I don't know.
Like, are you trying to beat her up? Are you trying to recruit her? I
I
didn't
think
know.
she must have thought the cameras were off and the cameras were on and said, "That's enough." I mean, I don't know. I was like, "What the hell is this, Natty? What the hell is this? What was this?"
Yeah, like a beatdown should be a beatdown. Either beat them down or
Yeah.
don't beat them down.
Beat them down, even after the thing is cut. And like, oh, that was good stuff. No, that's enough. I'm like, what are we doing here?
And if you don't want to beat them down, bring all three of you in. Now, I got the sense that Nikita might have gotten hurt and worked through that match, so maybe she was in medical. But if even if I'm right about that, they should have jumped her, knocked her down, and then Carmen should have held Jada's arms, and Natty should have been like gone about to punch her and said, "If I wanted to take you out, or if we wanted to take you out, we would have just taken you out. You owe us one.
Yes.
Think about why we didn't."
Yes, that would have been great because now
You're better with us.
Message.
You've been losing a lot of matches. You're better with us than without us. Something like that. You know, that might have been interesting. I don't know. I feel like they're wasting time with some people just because they have already elevated them contract wise, or at least in their minds to the main roster. They just don't know where to put them, what to do with them yet. And so people like Jada and Tony D and some others are just, Kelani, Izzy Dame maybe, they're just sort of hanging around. Lola clearly is somebody that, they like to bring there, but I think they like her NXT AAA schedule because she saw the queen down there, Lorena. And I maybe working the main roster schedule wouldn't allow for that. I'm not really sure. Anyway, the next match is supposed to be the women's number one contender match for the NXT women's title. And it is the next match, but we cut to the Shawn Spears promo, but you already covered that. We hear that Spears is going to face Nico next week. It's confirmed that Jada versus Natty is going to occur next week.
Ooh, wow. I'm so excited.
Yes, I do. Yes, me too. Callie Armstrong comes out with new music. I don't know that she needed new music, but
no, she didn't.
Yeah.
And her attitude change.
Yeah, it was sort of facey music too, as well, as opposed to her sort of badass music before.
When I saw that, Jeff, before we move on, I said this: why are they giving that gimmick to Kelly Armstrong? And meanwhile, Kelly Armstrong's gimmick is in Jada Parker. Like both ladies' gimmicks are switched. Who thought about that? That's full Jada Parker gimmick. It's like, what are we doing?
Well, it's an assembly line, and there's only so many gimmicks in wrestling these days. And anything that's even towards one of the edges, people shit on. Like when Tatum Paxley was going crazy, or the Wyatt Six. Everybody talks, poetically about them now, but none of you gave a damn when they're doing the Solos squad, the MFTs. They put on their face paint. They're like, the face paint, that's stupid. It's like, dudes, the Gorillas of Destiny wore that in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You loved it then. Lala Rebellion has worn it for years. I mean, what face paint is war paint. I mean, now nobody. If they did the Undertaker now, everybody would hate it. Meanwhile, the Undertaker and Kane had 25-year careers each. I don't know. I understand.
I understand you can't have Kelly Armstrong come out as the angry black woman. Like, we were talking about that before on our podcast with Haas and Chris. I understand that. I understand you have to have a character, and I know you had Kiana Carver, so it'd be like the female version of Kiana Carver with Kelly Armstrong when she came up from Evolve. But she was a badass. You didn't want to like. She was intimidating with her dancing and showing the heel happy. I didn't.
What's wrong with being the cocky badass woman who happens to be black? I mean, why is it the angry black woman? Why isn't it she's the jock who's a badass? Because she is a badass. She knows she's a badass,
and no one could touch her.
Right. I mean, no one calls Roman Reigns the angry, Pacific Islander. He's just a conceited.
Well, there was nothing wrong with her gimmick or coming out to the ring being that before. I don't know why they did this change on her. This whole perception. It's just, come on, Kelly. Why? I was disappointed. I was like disappointed.
I didn't love the music, but maybe I'll get used to it. Anyway, she's still a great performer.
Yes.
The highlight of this match was when Lola Vice was going to do her hip attacks, and Booker was basically short circuiting, going, there's more coming. Like he couldn't speak English. He was just making like cartoon noises, like he was glitching every time she was hitting someone with her ass. I love that about Booker. He's still a guy. He's allowed to be a guy. Fantastic. This match was good, but doing it on the same night as the Fatal 4-Way, especially how well that match did, this one for a higher prestige level was not as good. It was still good, but doing it the same night, I think, was a tactical mistake. And, I don't know if Sean is like, everyone needs to get as many reps as possible on TV, or if they just can't choose and they're afraid of doing one-on-one matches.
That's it.
Or whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, the end was choreographed well. Lola Vice gave a backward punch, but Kelani ducked it, and so it hit Callie, which knocked her out, even though it wasn't aimed for her. And then Callie was out of the mix. Kelani thought that she was going to get over on it. She didn't. Lola sort of took her out, and Callie was still knocked out, I think, and then Lola basically finished her off for the win. So the choreography of the end, I might have botched up the order of it, but it was good, and there were good spots. Don't get me wrong, but again, it sort of felt like, not calling the diet version is too like the Coke Zero version of the Coke match we saw earlier with the Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah, but this one had a little bit of sloppy spots on it. Yeah. There was some sloppy spot, and I'm not talking about the slippage on Kelani Armstrong trying to go for the moonsault. That's but there were some spots with the execution of the certain suplexes or roll ups or finishes. It was a little bit sloppy. The ladies, not their best work on. I know multi-women or multi-person matches could be a little difficulty and all that with their. But for a main event, all right, for televised main event, if hindsight is 2020, we would have loved that Fatal 4-Way with the North American title, especially for her to stand on strong. But it is what it is. Now we know that low, and especially you're running it back, unless if they're going to start telling the story of Kelani failing. But after that, after hindsight is 2020, I was like, you know what? For Kendal Grey's first title defense, I didn't want to be Kelani Jordan anyway, because Kelani isn't going to get if Kelani is not winning that women's NXT title.
It's not her first, it's her second. She beat Natty. Kendal Grey successfully defended against Natty.
Okay, but I mean, do you really think that I mean, it is kind of still it's the first non-main roster talent. They're normally I don't
someone on the NXT roster.
On the NXT roster, her first feud, which I don't know when, because it's a long wait for Heat Wave. We got almost 2 months, or full month and for almost 2 months before we get to
August 30th, I think.
Yeah, that's a long time from now. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna do some type of televised special in between here and there, or something. Because I mean, do you really want to see that title match on television? It's gonna be so predictable. So Lola Vice gets number one contendership against Kendal Grey, and it'll be fun because that's a rubber match. They remember last time both ladies draw a victory for Kendal, and now their third match. So they have good chemistry. So we'll see where it goes.
Well, it was a one-on-one match, right? So where Kendal beat Lola.
Yes, that was a one-on-one for the title. That was the pay-per-view recently.
Yeah, I'm okay with this. I mean, I think that they trust Lola. I think they like featuring Lola. I think they think that Lola is a star at NXT, and she probably is, and she probably brings in some of the AAA audience as well, and vice versa. Some of the NXT audience probably goes to AAA, though I have noticed the AAA's YouTube numbers, at least on the American WWE or the English WWE YouTube channel, have gone down dramatically. I honestly haven't looked at the Spanish-speaking YouTube channel. But I'm not sure if that's so much about the AAA product or Grande versus Grande ended, or just that there's just too
it could be that
wrestling.
It could be that. And it's also it's summertime. People are out. People are vacationing, traveling. They're not gonna. You're really asking them to watch a show.
There's also the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, there's baseball season and it's a all-star. Yeah, I get it, but you know, at the same time, the World Cup is doing Boku numbers all over the place. So, and YouTube, you could watch at your convenience anywhere. And I don't know, when I'm on vacation, I see a lot of people sitting by pools or in cabanas looking at screens. So I don't know. I mean, you know, I see what you're saying, but
also the World Cup, people even if they do outdoor activities or bars or stuff, you have watch parties where people gather, and that's where the numbers are. Because hey, come to my house, we'll do a barbecue, and we'll put the game on, we'll put the soccer game.
Nobody's putting AAA on it.
No one come over to my house to have a barbecue. I'm going to put AAA. We're going to see. You know,
right.
we're going to see.
No one's going to send your frogs or Margaritaville and then watching AAA at least, you know, north of the Rio Grande.
No, nobody's watching. Nobody's watching Dr. Wagner Jr. at the Senor Frogs. No.
Right, or Mini Vikingo. Anyway, Lola survived. I'm fine with this. I think that they work well together, and that's cool. I think Kendal is a great worker. Her promos still aren't quite there. Obviously, that's why she's with Ren, who's got a very natural, very likable effect to her. And they have a nice, cute chemistry together. Frankly, Ren has that chemistry with anybody she works with. She's sort of like Chelsea Green, that you know. And frankly, these days, Nikita Lyons, that anyone they work with, it seems to work. The chemistry seems to be there. Ariana Grace is almost there too, except she's married or engaged to that fountain of negative charisma.
He's weighing her down.
They're all weighing her down. The only one who even acts like a wrestler is Lexus King, and I don't know what's wrong with him, but he doesn't seem to be able to wrestle anymore. Maybe he should be that heel manager for, you know, other people, but Uriah Connors and Channing Stacks Lorenzo, they ain't it. And that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. Anyway, we think we're going off the air, but we're not quite going off the air because what's going on in Robertstown? Everyone's moving out, and in the parking lot, the most dangerous place in America, except where ICE is pulling you over for traffic stops that they have no authority to do traffic stops on, is the NXT parking lot, and Tony D and Naraku are brawling. And to punish them for doing exactly what they want to do, Robert Stone says, that's it. Next week's title match is a street fight. I only hope that these other New Japan guys like Takahashi and the other ones that were rumored to be coming to NXT do this so that they protect Tony D, let him go up to the main roster. Naraku can be the champion and then move him and his group up to the main roster and then release them in a year because this all stinks. Exactly. Jinx.
Oh my God. What are we doing here with this? I guess that's your main event for Tony D'Angelo and Naruko. We'll see where that goes. All in all, it wasn't a bad show. It has its good show. It's a variety show. It had some good parts. It had some real stinkers, and it had some like, oh boy, I didn't, you know. But here's the one thing I tell you. I never thought about changing the remote and watching the All-Star game.
Yeah, well, I don't. I'm a wrestling fan. I don't watch.
And I got my Yankee shirt.
Well, I've got a luchador shirt, so.
I got my Yankees, so I'm like, I wasn't so hot anyway because my pitcher didn't want to pitch the All-Star game. But anyways, nevertheless, but yeah, that's the NXT recap. Don't forget a real quick program though. Tomorrow night, the Dynamite Bros will be on as soon as the AEW Dynamite hour finishes. They'll come on. They're going to give their recap of AEW Dynamite as they build for redemption for the AEW pay-per-view coming up. So we're going to hear from Haas, PGH Chris, and of course, we will be doing a special interview tomorrow. Tell us about that interview, Mr. Lippman.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing the Out of Character podcast. Vinny Pacifico did book the show, but he's not on it. It's a guy named Matt Provenza who's worked on so many different things. It's incredible, but yeah, probably the most famous that you know of that's recent, Terrifier 3, and he is making a movie right now. He's fundraising for it, but it's not like he's looking for $100 for people. It's like he's looking for real investors, and he's going to tell you about it and the way he describes it. I got a slightly different vibe from it of what it is, but let's see if he agrees with me. But the way he described it, it's Goodfellas meets Ratatouille. But I mean, we're going to talk about all of his projects, and Vinny Pacifico is the best guy on earth. And so if he says somebody is terrific and sends them over, they're going to be great. And possible new friend potential level unlocked, maybe we'll see tomorrow. I mean, the last person he booked, Amber Brooke, is, we're now Facebook friends, and she's going to be on a Garden of Thought coming up pretty soon. And again, friend level unlocked. So very exciting there. If you want to follow me on the X, you can follow me at dose_evil. Again, the LFG review shows on Wrestling Soup. Garden of Thought is here. It has its own audio feed as well, and its own YouTube at Garden of Thought Pod. But you can, of course, find it here on the Sports Jedi Media Network for the time being. Hopefully, very shortly, the Sports Jedi Network once again. And this is going to be a weekly thing. This is our first time doing the show, so I think we did pretty well for not rehearsing, not prepping, not really, doing that. And I don't know. Like I said, folks, if you have an idea for a different name for the show, fine. If not, what's in the name?
I'll get one. I just was a little tired.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, who knows? Again, what's in the name?
That's right. And just your identity. But anyways,
I see you out there. Thank you for joining the chat.
By the way, check out the Rams fan and Jeff Lippman, Garden of Thoughts, the mythological creatures. That's done well. Good job.
Yeah, and I'm going to be on their show, Soup du Jour, this Saturday, where they review SmackDown, and I guess I have to also, which means I have to watch SmackDown on a week where I'm going to watch Saturday night's main event. But I don't usually watch the WWE main roster weekly shows, or if I do, I liberally fast forward.
So you're going to be the bread of the soup.
I think I'm more like the croutons.
The croutons, okay. The croutons.
Maybe
I was going to say croutons, but
yeah.
Oyster crack. There you go, some oyster crackers.
You know what? I'm always a cracker wherever I am.
With that said, we're going to say good night. We appreciate everyone. May the sports be with you guys. We'll see you again. Have a wonderful night, guys.